Okay, so we are up to Daf Chof Amud Aleph in Maseches Makkos. Hakoyrich karcha b'roishai. Before we start, I just want to tell you, Reb Shol, I don't know if I told you this, I told the doctor just now, that this morning I receive a call, I receive an email actually, here, pull up the email. I receive an email from a guy in Bensonhurst. He writes to me like this, Rabbi Asher Levovitz. He says, could you please call me? I want to ask you something, a 1-minute phone call. Here, look at the screen. I put up the email. Asher Levovitz. I call him back. He says, listen, I live in Bensonhurst. I listened to your Daf Yomi online. I just want to tell you, you made a mistake. I said, I'm glad you're calling me, first of all. He said, I'm sorry for correcting you. I said, first of all, you're listening to the shiur from Bensonhurst, the big chizuk. He says, yes, but you made a mistake because the other day in the shiur you said, Meiser Sheni today in 2025, you have to give trumas and meisers from produce that grow in Eretz Yisrael. So what do you do with Meiser Sheni? So you paid it, you redeem it, and you transfer the kedusha from the Meiser Sheni onto money. He says you give the money to tzedakah. He says you don't give it to tzedakah. You have to burn it. That's what he said. You have to burn it. He wants me. Yamamelech. He says he wants me to repeat it. Make sure if a person listened to the shiur the other day, I made a mistake. That's when you know people are listening. When they call you to tell you you made a mistake. This is the sign of success. Anyway, another thing that somebody sent me, somebody else who listened to the shiur online, said that the other day we spoke about grasshoppers. Yeah, we spoke about ochel patisa. The grasshoppers came up in conversation. He sent me a picture of kosher grasshoppers. Take a look. They sell kosher grasshoppers. It's called Holy Locust. You can buy it. It's unbelievable. It's kosher. Not only is it kosher, but somebody brought these grasshoppers in these packages to Rav Hershel Shechter. And take a look what happened. Here's the video. Hershel Shechter, a boy came to Rav Hershel Shechter recently.
Turn the volume up 1 second.
Hold on, turn the volume up.
Yes, they are. This is from Rabbi Nathan Slifkin's museum. His lecture. Would Rabbi like to try one? Okay. Excellent.
Down. He takes out a grasshopper.
Oh my gosh, he's making a barber now.
It's making shahako.
Oh my god.
No.
Shahako.
No.
He dropped it, picks it up,
5-second rule.
and he eats it.
No.
It's rich in protein, guys. It's rich in
He says it
protein.
doesn't taste good. How much is it, man?
Wow! Ezra, shalom aleichem. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy you're here. Come, don't sit on the couch. Come. Yeah, his back is hurting him. הוא אכל את זה, זה כשר, כשר לגמרי.
אני אשב
אור החיים הקדוש אומר, אין היום כשרים, אין דבר כזה.
מה זה אין דבר כזה?
אור החיים אומר, פרשה שלנו,
But if you dip it in chocolate, it's
אין,
good.
לא קיים.
You can dip it in chocolate. It's not fleshig. They say it's not fleshig. Yeah, it's not fleshig. You can dip it in chocolate. Go to, I think it's not Nathan Slifkin. He has a museum, Tanakh Hateva. I think he has a museum in Israel, outside of Ramat Shemesh maybe, I remember. And he sells it. He sells it over there. He sells those. Go to whole sefer, have it at home. Fantastic. Great guy. Spent a week with him in the summer a couple of years ago. Got to know him. So knowledgeable, such a big Talmud Chacham. And he actually sells these grasshoppers in his museum. And can't guarantee a kosher lepesach, hechsher, but it's certainly kosher. And you can make a shahaka like Rav Hershel Shechter did. And you can eat it and enjoy its crunchy, I believe. Okay. So
Why is that not in the geder of Ramasim and Shvatzim?
well, because this kind of chagav, there are grasshoppers that are kosher. This is a kosher grasshopper. Yeah. All right, so you learned something new. If you don't understand anything from here on till the end of the shiur, you learn something new. Okay, Zug the Heilige Mishnah. Daf Chof Amud Aleph. Hakoyrech karcha b'roishai. Mamash, we have some new members. Be'ezer Hashem. Permanent members of the shiur. Hakoyrech karcha b'roishai. Somebody who tears out a piece of his hair, right? He makes a bald spot in his head because he is mourning over a dead person. So he tears the hair out of his head. The halacha is he's chayiv. It's a lav. You're not allowed to do that. V'amakiv pa'as roishay. Somebody cuts his payas off. V'amakiv pa'as roishay. V'amashchiz pa'as zakoneh. Somebody cuts the beard with a blade. V'asoyrit srita achas alames. Somebody scratches himself, right? Srita achas alames, whether it's biyad or bikeli, doesn't matter with what. The Gemara is going to speak about that. He's chayiv alav. Sarat srita achas achamisha mesim. Whether you scratched one scratch for 5 people who died, or 5 shritais al meis echad, or 5 scratches on one mace, you should know chayiv al kal achas v'achas. Whether it's 5 mesim or 5 scratches, you're chayiv on each one. Okay, now the Mishnah is going to explain. Al haroish shtayim. Morris, we just started the Mishnah Chaf Amud Aleph. Welcome. Chaf Amud Aleph. Al haroish shtayim. On your head. Shtayim. Achas mekan of achas mekan. There are 2 payas on the head, so we are chayiv for each one separately. Each paya, you're chayiv separately. There are 2 payas. Yeah, can we put up the shot, the picture of what's usher to cut min ha-Torah? Take a look. It's usher to cut from your forehead till the back of your ear. That means you're being mashva, you're creating a line, a straight line from the skin here to the skin over here, to the skin behind your ear. I think if you walk into a barber shop, obviously we don't do that, it's called like a shape up. You ask for a shape up, take a look at this next guy, I think he got such a haircut. And you see this guy right here, this dude right here, that is lav the oiraisa. If you cut from the forehead till the back of your ear, that is, and if you're chayiv on each side, there are 2 sides, right? Chayiv shtayim, achas mikan, which by the way, is a big question. Because, why? What do you
want to go back?
Yes.
Okay, so here we have this dude walked into a barber shop and he asked for this shape up over here. And what he doesn't know, he's only mechuyev shavu mitzvahs b'nei noyach. Okay? So he does a goy. So for him it's mutter. But if a yid would do that, ask for such a haircut, he'd be chayev a lav, 2 lavim for each side. Which is really a question, the Derech Hamuna, Rav Chaim Kanievsky. 1 lav each side, so 2 lavim for both. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky and Derech Hamuna in Matnas Aniyim, Hilchas Matnas Aniyim, on Hilchas Peya, asks a kasha. The Torah says when you harvest your produce in a field, it says lo sachale pa'as sadcha. Don't cut the corner of your field. By payas it says lo sakifu pa'as roishchem. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky brings from the Rishonim, the Ritva and other Rishonim ask, why by a field it says the same word pa'as and it only means one corner, and by a haircut lo sakifu pa'as roishchem means both sides. How do we know? How did Chazal know? The Mishnah says over here, Shtayim, achas mikan, because laskif ba'as roishchem, it means both. So maybe by pa'as sadcha, it should also mean you have to leave both corners of your field. How do we know it's different? How do we know that's different? So Rav Chaim Kanievsky brings many terutzim, 3 terutzim I believe. One teretz he brings is that loisachale, the word loisachale means don't finish it off. So when it says lesachala pa'asatcha, the word lesachala reveals that by sada it's only don't finish it off, and that's only 1. But lesakifu means on both sides. The lashon in each pasuk is mashma, respectively to each one, that by payas it means 2 and by sada it means 1. But either way, there you have ischayva kol achas va'achas. Ala zokin, on a beard, shtayim mikan, ushtayim mikan, v'achas milamata. There are 5 spots on your face that if you cut with a razor, you cut the shtayim mikan, v'achas milamata. Now which one, where exactly is the spot by a beard? It's chayv chamesh. Where exactly is the spot? So pull up the next one, you'll take a look. The Lashon Shulchan Aruch is that peyas hazokan amhei. There are 5 spots on your beard that you're not allowed to cut, and if you cut, each spot is a lav. But v'robu behem adeyas. There are a lot of opinions with regard to where are the 5 spots on your face. Says the Shulchan Aruch, we're not going to get involved in the machlokes. Lefikach Yerushalayim yotze eskulam. Yerushalayim should be careful not to cut with a razor any part of his face because there are too many opinions. You're going to violate, whichever spot you believe is that one of the chamesh. you're going to probably be over on a different sheet than the Rishonim. It brings a bunch of sheets. You can see all these colors over here. The gray is Rashi, the orange is Rashi, and the blue is the Rambam, and the green is the Ben Chananel, the gray is the Ravon. So you have all these different sheetas. So best, the Shulchan Aruch says...
Like over here too?
Yeah.
That here is not part
According to the Rabbeinu Chananel, this is the Malamata right here. So I'm saying, so you have to be... This is Malamata, this is the one right here.
Because if you read that, even Mechilander Chamein, the Zohar, it gives you all the places in all 13 places here.
So Reb Shol is mentioning the Zohar. He's always, I'm prepared for Reb Shol tonight because he goes Al Pi Asoid. Now, Al Pi Asoid, the Arizal writes that the reason why you have to leave your beard, you cannot shave your beard, is because the beard corresponds to the Yud Gimel Midah Shel Rachamim. It's the 13 attributes of mercy. And therefore, if you cut with a razor the beard, you uproot the beard. The beard is the lavush, the guf is the lavush for the neshama. You're actually uprooting the channels of mercy that come to a person from his beard. By the way, the payas, right, the beard has 13, it's 5 spots, according to many Rishonim, different spots. But in payas is dinam. Payas is dinam, is judgment, and the beard is rachamim. Which is why, by the way, you're not allowed to cut off the dinam. You have to let it grow. Why do you have to let it grow? So it touches the beard. So this way, it covers apisoid. It touches rachamim. The dinam that come to a person, which is in the payas, the pa'as reishchem, touch the beard. That's why you have chasidim or taimanim. They have long payas. Why do they have long payas? Because the long payas, the longer the payas is, the more it's connected to the beard. The more it's connected to the beard, the more you have the rachamim being ma'ariv, being mamatik, the din. Now the Litvaks, they put their payas. I used to put my payas. I grew up in Williamsburg. I used to put my payas in front. And then as I evolved, I put it behind. So my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. He always had tinus on me. He said, no, what happened? I put it in the front. You put it in the back. I finally found him a car. Why do I put it in the back? The Litvaks put it in the back because they don't want the dinim to be on top of the chesed, of the rachamim. So they put it behind them. That's why by davening, right, the small is din, the yad small is din, and the yad yamin is rachamim. So we're makbid, when we daven, we put the yad yamin over the yad small over the din, because if you put it the other way around, you're being goiver the din over the rachamim. Which, by the way, Hasidim also, when they cover their jackets, if you go to Road Clothing or G&G, they put their jackets, you would cover the left over the yamin. Hasidim say, don't do that. Hasidim say, do it the other way. Make sure the buttons are on the left side and the holes are on the right side. This way you put the right over the left, because we don't want din to be over rachamim, which is why many Litvaks say, put the payas behind your ears, not over the beard. This way you don't have din over rachamim. This is al pisoid, but this is for you, Reb Shol. Okay, weiter. Zog the Gemara. Zog the Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, em nitlu kulan ka'achas, einu chayev ala achas. If you took off your whole beard at once, then you only chayev one lav. Even though there are 5 spots on the face, you only chayev one. You're only chayev if you take it off with a razor. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, afilu loktoi b'malaket or b'rihitni, chayev, you're chayev. Even if you use tools like tweezers or other hair removal tools to remove your beard, it's also a lav. Don't do it according to Rabbi Eliezer. And the Chachamim Tanakama says only with a razor, which is how we paskin. We paskin only with a razor. It's asur. And now, Baruch Hashem, everybody's got sphira beard, so nobody over here is choshed on anything. But I do want to show you, Lamaisa, we started shaving. When did Klal Yisrael start shaving? It's an interesting concept, the shaving. So here, I want to pull up. Here we have, go to the next one. I want to pull up the, first of all, a picture, the Chasam Sofer.
There was like a powder, no?
Yeah, they used to have a powder.
I have the Satmar Rebbe.
Okay, first of all, a picture of the Satmar Rebbe, yeah.
This one first, yeah.
The Satmar Rebbe, this is a picture of the Satmar Rebbe, Rabbi Yoel, my namesake, in the Holocaust. Right? The Nazis shaved off beards from all the Jews. They shaved everything. Somehow, he was Moser Nefesh, he put a handkerchief around his face. This is an actual picture of him. And he was able to he was Moser Nefesh, able to save his beard during the Holocaust.
In Europe.
It started, so here's where did it start? Here, I want to go, no, not this one, next one.
It's a Western look.
Next one, where's the Chasam Sofer? I want to show you a tshuva.
Oh, that's the last one.
Okay, no problem, go ahead.
Which one?
That one, right there.
Oh, the tshuva, yeah.
Can we pull up this tshuva over here for the Chasam Sofer? Is absolutely amazing. I want to tell you something. He says, Reb Shol, he refers to Reb Shol, the Mekubolim, Al Pisoid, the Arizal, who says, Mashiromaz l'sifrei Mekubolim shekasvu. Could you do the highlights as I'm reading it or no? Sheloi lo oishet yadayim bedikni klal. they say don't touch your beard. So the Chasam Sofer says, "Ainli esek b'nistaris." I don't want to talk about nistaris or Kabbalah. In Italy, it started where he says even the greatest of the Mekubalim shaved their beards. This is Chasam Sofer in a Tshuva, Simon Kufnan Tes and Erechayim. And he says, Lamashal, we have Reb Menachem Azariah Balasora Mamoris Ramami Panu. Yeah? Avia Mekubalim, the father of the Mekubalim, Shoya Magulach, Nibli Yishasayra Achad. He shaved. He didn't leave over one hair. And also his Talmidim write about it. A beard is so holy that if you're in Chutz La'aretz, if you live in Italy or in America, you're not worthy of a beard. That's what he held. This is Chasam Sofer. The Ramami Panu. Now here he says, the last line, once Am Yisrael is shaving already since then, there's no isser to shave. Avad, you can't shave with a razor, but the Chasam Sofer says, since we didn't start doing it to assimilate, we started doing it to save our lives. So once that became the tradition, so maybe it's not a problem. That's Chasam Sofer. He says the Ramami Panu used to shave. I just want to show you, there's a picture of the Ramami Panu actually. It's reportedly the Ramami Panu, and it seems like the Ramami Panu did not shave. Chasam Sofer, he trimmed his beard. This is the Ramami Panu. He trimmed it. Chasam Sofer says he shaved, but
They call that shave.
no, he says mebli lahashir seir achas. He says he shaved, but they say the Chasam Sofer probably he saw it in a Talmud, but it was probably not reported right. It really only trimmed, and this is a photo of the Rami Panu. So just to set the record straight. Yeah. Metaknim means they used to like just fix it up. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
How did Korach, and didn't we learn earlier that Korach, Moshe asked Korach to shave his whole body head to toe?
yeah, the Levium had to shave. That was a specific.
With a razor?
Yeah. They had to.
One time.
That was a one time. That was for the Levium. Yeah.
יש פסע של הרמב"ם בספרד, יש לו
Yeah.
זקן מתוקן, קצר.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting. That's true. Excellent. Okay.
היה להם זקן מתוקן.
Okay. So we go more weiter. Let's go weiter. What?
I was going to say, I think back in the day, I think in Persian culture at least, there's some sort of cream that they would put on the face.
Depilatory.
Yeah, depilatory. Like you have that sam, the cream. Yeah, the powder. It's a powder, I think.
Okay, and then they can
Yeah, and then they would just wiggle it. Yeah.
The what?
So
Avi Leibovitz, his grandfather,
yeah,
was not able to grow a beard because he said when he was in the camps or whatever, they put something on his face, whatever it was. He never grew a beard again. So I said, if a guy knew what that was today, he'd make a lot of money. For like women, peel legs, all this. It wasn't a thing you have to use it all the time. It was a
one-time treatment.
Since they did it then, he was never able to grow a beard.
Probably radioactive.
Unbelievable. Maybe it's no, but
Thing that put
yeah.
what did they do?
So it was a one-time thing. I said,
Unbelievable.
It's
It's interesting because it's appropriate to just mention quickly. We said the Satmar Rebbe didn't allow the Nazis to touch his beard. He was able to get away with it.
Like chemical like that.
Shemata Tesipur, Chevre. Satmar Rebbe used to be close with Mike Tress. Mike Tress used to shave his beard. So the Hasidim were bothered. How could the Rebbe befriend somebody without a beard? Mike Tress saved a lot of Yidden during the Holocaust. He was a big Oisik B'tzarchet Tzibur. So they asked the Rebbe, how could you befriend somebody who doesn't have a beard? So the Satmar Rebbe, famous line, said, listen, when you and I come up to Shemayim, when he comes up to Shemayim, they might ask him, Reb Yid, where's your beard? But us, they'll ask, Reb Beard, where's your Yid? Don't be so focused on the... They say on Maisa that somebody who started shaving came to the Satmar Rebbe Rabbi Yoel. And Rabbi Yoel knew his grandparents from before the war. And his grandparents were Chassidish Yidden, his Bubby and his Zaidi, Chassidish Yidden, they didn't shave. And Rabbi Yoel sees this guy after the war, comes in, a grandson, he sees he's clean shaven, he's like, wow. So Rabbi Yoel looks at him, he says, your mamish look exactly like the Bubba. I remember you, Bubby. Okay, whatever, Rabbi Yoel, she's sharp line. Yeah. Okay. Tonu Rabbanan. I shouldn't be speaking, I shaved the first couple of years after I got married, but okay. Not with a razor though. Tonu Rabbanan. I would have thought that even if he does 4 or 5 kriches, lo yehei chayiv el achas, he's only chayiv 1. Talmud lebe karcha. L'chayev al kol karcha v'karcha. He's chayev on each patch of skin. He tears out, let's say, five places in his head. He leaves it 5 patches of bald spots. He's chayev on each one. Beroisham atamad loymar. So why does it say beroisham? If it's never, let's go. Let's it says only ben anechem. Yochel chayev ela ben anay bilvad. I would have thought that only by the makom tefillin between your eyes. That's when you're not allowed to cut your hair out, take your hair out. Menay l'rabas kol roish. How do I know that all your head is subject to the lav of lesikricha karcha likra karcha? Tamad loymar beroisham l'rabas kol roish. The whole head, doesn't matter what part of your head. If you're tearing your hair out because you are mourning a dead person, the halacha is you're chayiv alav. It doesn't matter what part of your head. Maybe it's only about kahanim. That's what the pasuk said. Kahanim have a lot more mitzvahs than a Yisrael. But Yisrael minayin, I don't know, even a Jew, a regular Yid, not a kohen, is not allowed to take out any part of his head, hair from his head. Never kan karcha v'nemer lo karcha. Mal alon chayiv kol karcha v'karcha v'chayiv al rosh k'ben anayim. Afkan chayiv kol karcha v'karcha v'chayiv al rosh k'ben anayim. Mal alon al meis, afkan al meis. Anyway, so it's Xavier Shava to compare kohen and a Yisrael, that just like by a kohen, the whole head, doesn't matter where, and it's arba v'chamesh krichas, you're chayv on each one al meis, so too by Yisrael. So the Gemara asks like this: How did dalad ve'krichas heichadami? The last line of Chafam Aleph. These 4 or 5 krichas heichadami. What's the case? If he did it separately, each spot on his head, he pulled out here, over here, right? Adam said, "Don't do it," and then Adam come and say he's about to pull out from another spot. Adam said, "Don't do it." And then the bottom of it said, "Don't do it," right? So you have dalad ve'hei krichas bezeh achar zeh, one after the other, and each one had a separate asra. Pshita, bevadai, he's chayiv on each one. That's poshet. I don't need a pasuk for that. It's like doing 5 averis with 5 asras at 5 separate times. You're chayiv on each one. Elo b'chod asra. So what are you going to tell me? The chiddush is Adam warned him one time, and then with that one warning, the guy goes and proceeds to tear hair out of his head in 5 different spots. So how many are you chayiv? There's only 1 asra. So you chayiv only 1. You can't be chayiv 5 on that. There's only 1 asra. Gemara says, "B'chad asra mi mechayiv, you chayiv 5 times." A nozir shoyse yain kol hayoyim. A nozir is not allowed to drink wine, and he drinks wine the entire day. Ein chayiv ala achas. He's only chayiv 1 time malchus, even though he drank a couple of bottles of wine throughout the day. Why? Because there's only 1 asra. Only 1. He was only warned 1 time. Amru loy al tishta. Between each glass of wine, Adam warned him and they said, "Don't do it." And he continues doing it. Then he's chayiv on each glass of wine. So the Gemara says, so over here too, what would be the case if it's a case where you had Adam warn him separately on each time? It's not a chiddush. I don't need a pasuk for that. If it's only Adam warned him only once and he did it 5 times, he only chayiv once. So what's the case over here? He put powder, he put gel, he put cream on 5 of his fingers. Yeah? Put a little cream over here, a little cream over here and over here and over there. And he went like this. He's about to go onto his head in 5 different spots at once. And 2 Adam say, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a lav. And he goes, "I'm doing it." And he goes like this. And now he ends up with 5 bald spots. It happened with 1 asra all at the same time. Says the Gemara, that asra works for each one, and therefore you chayiv 5 times. Tosfos is bothered by this answer. Tosfos doesn't get it. Tosfos asks, "Tema, mamash a chiddush. What do you mean? If there's only 1 asra, who cares if you do it at once? There's 1 asra, so 1 asra can only go on. It can only be mechayiv you 1 lav. Yeah, that's Tosfos kasha. Tosfos answer is that this is exactly the chiddush of the pasuk. Over here, the pasuk is mechadish that if it's at one time with 1 asra 5 times, that you're chayiv on each one. That's the chiddush here. Okay, so Gemara says like this: V'kama shiur karcha. How much do you have to tear out in order to be chayiv alav? Ravuna Omar k'dei shiur meroishai. If somebody could see it, if it's a very visible spot, I guess it's subjective. It doesn't give you an objective shiur. If it's a visible spot, then you're chayiv alav. Rabbi Yoel Gold, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, gris. You're chayiv only when it's the size of a gris, of a barley. What's the size of a barley? How big is a barley? What do they say? They say like kigris, like 2 hairs. Okay, 2 by 2. I'm assuming. Mamish tiny. Okay, that's according to Rabbi Elazar Reb Shemin. Achirim oimrim k'dei shiur meroishoy. Gemara says k'tanoi kama shikarch k'gris achirim k'dei shiur meroishoy. Amar Avidu B'Chaviva. Plig bat telos tanoi. Actually, there's a third opinion. Chad oimer k'gris. One says it's like barley. Chad oimer k'dei shiur meroishoy. Another says you should be able to see the patch from, should be visible on your head. V'chad oimer k'shtei cyrus. V'iked mapik shtei cyrus u'ma'ayil b'ka adasha. Some take out shtei cyrus and they put in adasha, which is a lentil bean, right? A lentil bean. So which one is bigger? Which one is larger?
Is nothing.
I'm sorry. So the gris, I made a mistake. A gris is a bean, right? It's a barley or a bean? A bean. A pull, right? It's a pull. It's a bean. A pull is a bean, right?
Yeah.
No, gris is
Grisim is barley, no?
Yeah.
What is the gris in the Gemara? Barley or a bean? Because over here,
Gris is a bean. The art scroll says gris is bean.
Art Scroll says gris is a bean, not like modern Hebrew, which says gris is a barley. Grisim in modern Hebrew is barley, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so Art Scroll says it's a bean, and a bean is larger than a lentil, right? A bean is slightly larger. What's a bean?
לא, אומר כאן מחילה.
Bean is a shetach.
תבוע שנגרס. של תבוע. או כאן הכוונה, אומר, בדרך כלל גריס זה תבוע, אבל כאן הכוונה לחצי פול.
A half a bean.
Half a bean, yeah.
Half a bean. Okay?
The bean, bean.
Full is a flower bean, the big
Wait.
one.
No.
Interesting. So what kind of bean? Is it a coffee bean or is it like a...
Rebbe, he said חצי pool. חצי pool is you split it in half,
I know, but when you split it in half, you take away the other half? You just a half a bean.
The thickness of it.
So how big is that? They make a cheshbon over here based...
It's a thinner, like a half.
How many years? How many years is that? So how many years do you have to rip out?
It says
So it says 36 hairs, 6 by 6. So you take a 6 by 6, and you also count the area, the skin in between the hairs. So 6 by 6 is a patch of 36 hairs. Then you have, that's the size of a gris.
Didn't you have a picture?
Adasha is shtei saros.
Did you have a picture of that? The barley or the bean?
Adasha is 2 by 2, which is arba sarot. I had a picture of the...
You want me to show it?
I don't think it's going to help.
No?
Let's know, it's not it.
Which one? This one?
That's the barley.
Adasha
That's not what the Gemara means.
It's not what the Gemara means.
Adasha
not the
זה
Gemara's,
תוצאה.
Bean is not.
Full.
What is that?
9 times 4 is 36.
It's 6 times 6.
Yeah, Adasha
6 times 6 is 36.
Here it says one lentil is 4 hairs, and 1 bean is 9 lentils. So 9 times 4 is 36.
So this is barley.
Right, no, but 1 bean is 4 by 4.
No.
No, yeah?
No. He
2
says
by 2.
עדשה זה 4 שערות, בסדר? עכשיו, הגריס שלו, רק שנייה, הגריס זה 9 שערות.
רגע, 4 שערות, זאת אומרת 2 שערות על 2 שערות. It's 2 squared, which is 4. Right?
4 שערות.
Right, so that's 4. So when we talk
That's
about...
the beans and that's the barley. The bottom
Yeah.
is the beans. The bottom.
No, the top is not beans. The top is barley. So it's not, the doctor was saying, according to the art scroll, it's not barley. A gris over here means a pole, which is a bean, which is larger. So again, the gris.
Look for fava bean.
Fava bean. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of bean? There are different sizes of beans.
That's a big bean.
That's a very big bean.
Because
Okay.
Full.
No.
It's fava bean.
פול זה שם ג'נרל.
No.
לכל הבינס.
Pauline.
פולים, כן.
Okay.
ג'נרל לכל ה... אז הוא אומר כאן, שנייה, כי גריס זה שטח השווה ל9 עדשים. זאת אומרת 3 עדשים על 3 עדשים. שהוא שטח של 36 שערות.
There, 36. 3, yeah, so it's,
36 hairs.
right. So the question is like this: which one is the most chomer de geshita? Which one is the largest area? You have 3 opinions here.
The bean.
3 opinions. You have one is gris, a bean. One is it should be visible on your head, and one is a lentil, the size of a lentil, which is 2 by 2. Now the question is, which one would you say is the largest, and which one is the smallest? Which one is the middle? How would you put that? If you take a bean, a lentil, and the yira meiroishai, it has to be visible from your head. Which one would you say is the largest size?
2 by 2 is nothing.
2 by 2 is nothing. I would say the adasha is the smallest, right?
One, yeah, 2 by 2.
Okay. And gris, I would say, is the largest, right? Depending on which bean it is, but I would say it's 36 hairs, 6 by 6.
6 by 6.
Yeah, that's the largest. So you have Yireh Merosh is the middle one. So we have three opinions exactly when you're chayiv kama shiur karcha. It's interesting. Kama shiur karcha, what does that mean? It means less than that, you're not over an isser? It means less than that, you can't get malchus. But avada, chatzi shiur osam an atayra, right? Let's say you only take out one hair. You're not going to be over an isser? No. So there's a big shaila of chatzi shiur osam an atayra is only, Chacham Tzvi says it's only by food. Right, a very big shaila. He says only by food, because food, if you eat a half a kazayas, it's chaziletz terufa. The Gemara in Yuma talks about it, right? Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish, whether it's chaziletz terufa, is that a siba to be mechayev or to aser chatzi shir? So the question in the Achrayim of the Poskim is whether chatzi shir osam and atayr is only by food. So Chacham Tzvi's shita, the famous shita, is that it's only by food. Rashi and Shabbos and other places by it. So Rashi seems to say, in other Rishonim, they say that it's by all the surah deraisa. Chatzi shir is aser. You cannot be mechayev malchus on it, but certainly when the Gemara asks over there, kama shir karcha, how much is a shir of the karcha, whether it's gris, or it's whether yira meroisha, or it's adasha, the shir that we're talking about over here is lechayv malchus, to be over in lot of chayv malchus. But certainly you'd be over in iser, pashtus, even on plucking. On plucking one ear. Oh, very good. The Zel Bazach with Shabbos. Right, you can't be chayv chatos less than a shear, but you'll be over it. Beautiful. So the Gemara weiter. Gemara has a very interesting simon over here. V'simonech baheres kegris u'michya ka'adasha. Talk about negoim over there, different shiurim. So here you have a way to remember this machlokes, whether adasha or gris.
Also in Mitzorah, the Taras.
That's right. That's right. Which parsha are we in today?
Mitzorah, no?
We're in parshas
Before Mitzorah.
Tazria Mitzorah. How about that, huh? How about that? V'simonich today's daf, this week's parsha. Okay. Tana, zug digma anoitel meloi pi azug b'Shabbos chayiv. So here we're going to Shabbos. Somebody who cuts here on Shabbos, meloi pi hazug. What does meloi pi hazug mean? How do you translate an art scroll, doctor, in English? Meloi pi hazug, the amount of
Scissors tipful.
the scissors.
Tipful, interesting.
What's
The tip of the scissors.
the tip of the scissors?
This filled like
So-
probably like the tweezers. You have a tweezers. You
So how much it can
they fill that.
it can fill that tip?
Which is obviously
So how much is that? V'kama meloi pi hazug. How much is that? Amar Rav Yehuda shtayim. It's 2 hairs. Okay, so on Shabbos, whether you chayv a karb mechatas on meleches goizes, one of the lamates melachas is shearing. So if you're cutting here, what would be the shear, the amount you need to cut in order to be chayv mechatas would be shtayim, 2 hairs. That's meloi pi hazug. Asks the Gemara, Tanya lekarcha shtayim. It says in that brisa itself, the same brisa, it says that to be over on karcha alameis, you need shtayim, 2 hairs, which sounds like molei pi hazug is a different shear. Otherwise, use the same word. It's the same brisa, use the same word. Why are you using legabe Shabbos? You're using the words molei pi hazug, and legabe karcha, you're using the word shtayim. Must be that they're 2 different shiurim. Where it says v'tayin lekarcha shtayim, where it says ayim v'chein lekarcha shtayim. No, it's not 2 different shiurim. Say v'chein lekarcha shtayim. When it comes to karcha, it's also shtayim. Still, why do we use the word shtayim by karcha and molei pi hazug by Shabbos? So the bottom of the art scroll over here is masber beautifully. He says because by Shabbos the isser is meleches machshavas, the ma'isa malacha. So where the ma'isa malacha is aser, we want to refer to the ma'isa malacha, meloi pi hazug, the scissors, right? That's what you're doing the ma'isa with. And since the emphasis in the isser of Shabbos is on meleches machshavas, on the ma'isa, so we use the words meloi pi hazug instead of shtayim. Mashenket by karcha, of course it's the ma'isa, but the ikar is don't tear your hair out. So there it uses the word shtayim. Tayin amacha anoitu meloi pi hazug b'Shabbos chayiv v'kama meloi pi hazug shtayim. Again, meloi pi hazug really is 2. Rabbi Eliezer says achas it's 1. Umoidim chachamim l'Rabbi Eliezer b'malaket levonis metech shchayris afilu achas shu chayiv. Wow, here we go. On Shabbos, if you're taking a white hair out of the black, the dark hairs, yeah, you guys, you get there. But
I'm there.
You're there already. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to admit that I'm there, but I'm there as well.
You took
Yeah.
them off already. Not in Shabbat, bro.
Levanis with
I
the
don't have black, it's all
For
white.
you, it'd be Shcharis mitoch Levanis. For you, it'd be the other way. It's all white. Yeah. But either way, you want to make sure that you look clean and you want to have the same color. So there, the halacha is you're chayav chatas even on one hair. Why? Because you're makpid on that one. So that's malacha chashuva. So that elevates the status of the malacha to a malacha chashuva because you really want the white hair gone. So it's enough with one to be chayav chatas. V'davar zeh, says the Gemara, not just on Shabbos, you should know. V'davar zeh afilu b'cholos, you're not allowed to do it even on the weekday. Shenemar leyilbash gever simlas isha. That's it. Mishum shenemar leyilbash gever simlas isha. You shouldn't do. Because women are the ones who sit in the mirror, in front of the mirror, making sure that they look beautiful, right? And if they have a hair sticking out, right? If a hair grows, they'll remove one hair, electrolysis, whatever they use. So you're not, by you plucking out the hair, the one hair that makes you look a little old, right? That's engaging in feminine activity.
אבל נשים אין להם זקן.
No, it's some.
כן, זה אנשים אין להם זקן, אז אם אני נוגע בזקן...
It means to beautify yourself the way women beautify.
As a man, you should uglier.
Which is, by the way, the poskim say that's why a man would also apply. I know nobody here does it, right? To put hair coloring, right? To dye your hair would also be lo yilbash gever simlas isha, right? Because that's all women do. Women always want to look younger, right? Men, the older we get, the better we look. This is, we want to look, it's more distinguished, right? That's how men look. It's the difference between men and women. Women, they look better when they're younger. Men look better when they're older. They look, there's the distinguished look. If you want to go and look younger, my kids say this is, they call this wisdom highlights. Yeah, it's wisdom highlights. You're more distinguished, you're more chashiv. And so you don't want to...
So you know what, from what you're saying right now, a man that shaves his beard is Masa Isha.
So,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my customers.
Women, what you're saying right now, because women, if they have any hair on their face, they take it out. So a man that does it.
So Kodim Kol, let's slow down. Here, do you notice the Gemara's lashon? Most poskim, Rishonim Achronim, say that this is not a dairaisa. To pluck your white hair, or even to all the other, it's not a dairaisa. Because in the Ritvah's Medayik, the Rishonim Medayik, because it says, this is a very big klal. I never knew this before I saw this Ritvah today. That it says, Mishum Shenemar. Very interesting. Mishum Shenemar. Anytime it says Mishum Shenemar, it's a Derabanan. If it would have been a Deraisa, it would have said Shenemar. Or Dechsiv, Shenemar. Right? Mishum Shenemar sounds like it's an Asmachta. So here, the Ritvah's Medayik, the Rishonim say, it's only a Derabanan. Because Leilbash Gever Simlas Isha simply means, whether it means Dafka, the clothing, the Rabbaner, Beliezer, and Nazir. So really, it means really clothing. Menat Torah, it's if a man wears a dress, that's when he's over the Issa Dairaisa. But if he beautifies himself in other ways, right? Someone to say, right, Rav Chaim Kanievsky held, right? He held that to wear a watch,
I could not go with
a hand watch, you couldn't go to it. He held a hand watch, is Lo Yilbash Gever Simlas Isha. If he saw you wear it, I have a cousin, Dr. Irving Lubavitz. He doesn't wear a hand watch, I believe. He told me, he went to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Chaim Kanievsky told him to take it off. He said, Lo Yilbash, you can never put it back on. The God Ladar told him to take it off. He doesn't put it back on. So, it depends, how far you go. How far do you take Lo Yilbash Gever Simlas Isha? Right? So it depends. Different Gedolim held different things. Person puts on a cologne, right, or perfume. Is that Lo Yilbash Gever Simlas Isha? It might be. It might be. So who knows? I don't know. I'm not a Rav. I'm just saying we're getting involved in the opinions of Achroinim, which, according to most Rishonim, is not a Dairais, it's only a Derabanan. Okay, so we're going to go. Let's just finish.
Now this is
to the bottom of the Amid.
This is regardless of what kind of tool you're using.
Oh, we're going to get there. Let's go right now. Yeah, the Gemara is going to get what kind of tool. When you pluck the white out of the black?
Right. Regardless of whether it's done with a scissor, with a tweezer, or with a razor, you're saying it's usher as long as it's...
Maloi piazug. The Gemara says even a scissor. Maloi piazug, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay, but that's only on the face or on the head. But talking about like the ears or the back or whatever.
Meaning plucking like ears, like the ears.
Yeah.
If you're getting older, what you call here you have to ask your local rabbi. I don't know. We have to ask our local rabbi. If what?
לנשים אין שערות באוזן, אז אם...
אבל אם יש להם,
אבל מה הדרך של
אתה לא רואה את זה שהם כבר לקחו את זה.
אבל הדרך של העולם, הדרך של העולם, זה דרך של העולם.
From the nose.
אוקיי, weiter,
דרך של העולם, אז זה אין...
והמקיף פאס רוישוי. Let's go weiter. תודה רבה, פאס רוישוי.
אתה יכול בטח
There's no
לעשות.
difference in anyways between men
אתה
and
יכול לעשות את זה, מה שאין לנשים, אתה יכול לעשות. זה הלכה.
women.
פאס רוישוי, סויף רוישוי. See, we have a Kabbalist, we have a Rav here. סויף רוישוי. ואיזה סויף רוישוי? What's called סויף רוישוי? זה המשווה צדוב לאחורי אוזנוי לפדחתוי. We showed the picture earlier. Can you pull up the picture again? Let's see, that picture with the guy, the line that goes straight from the back of his ear till his forehead. Where's that picture? That guy right there. Right? That's the Gemara saying. That's a mashve tzedov. He makes a line to even out the hair from behind his ear to his forehead. Here we have the guy who does it and the guy who it's done to are both over a lav. Loika, he gets malchus. Says, why should the guy who's getting the haircut, he's not doing anything. It's a lav shein b'maisa. Right? The guy who's giving the haircut, he's doing it. He's chayiv, he gets a lav. But the guy who is sitting put in the chair, doing nothing, he's allowing himself to get that haircut, but he's doing nothing. He can't be mechayivim alav or malchus, it's lav shein b'maisa. So the expression of Chizda uses, man da'achol tamri bar bila lucky, somebody who eats dates from a sifter should get malchus. What's he doing wrong? Very, very funny analogy. Why are we using that as an analogy? So the Orchel Ner says, because it used to be, when they used to go into the barbershop, they used to give them dates. You know, they would eat. While the guy gave a haircut, they would have some dates. So here, the guy says, all he's doing is eating dates. What's he doing? He's just eating dates, so he didn't do anything. The Amar Allah, Sigmar says, no, I'll tell you why. Who is this brisa that says even the guy who's getting the haircut gets malchus? It's Rabbi Yehuda. The Omer lav shein b'maisa loiken olav that a lav shein b'maisa also gets malchus. Rav Omer b'makif la'atzma v'divrei hakoil. We're talking about the guy who's getting the haircut is the guy who's giving himself the haircut. Anybody here gives themselves a haircut? Yeah, I started giving myself a haircut.
Pesach's not here, but
Pesach's not here, but I sometimes give myself a haircut. Why not? Yeah, just you give yourself a haircut. If I save a lot of money. So the guy gives himself the haircut, and there, if the guy who gives himself a haircut, he's the makif and the nikaf, and he's mashvet tzadov, he cuts his payas off, he gets malchus. Rashi Omer, here Rashi says v'mesayeya v'divrei hakoil. What happens with Sayeya? In other words, he's not the one giving himself the haircut. The guy is standing over him, giving him a haircut. He's sitting put, he's doing nothing, but he's not really doing nothing. He's like, the guy says, could you move your head down? You know, like when you take a haircut, move it up, do it this way, do it that way. That's a Mesayeya. And once you're a Mesayeya, you are Chayiv Malchus. Hagam, you're not doing the Maisa, right? It's a very interesting halacha. You're not doing the Maisa. You're not doing the actual act of cutting the payas. So why should Mesayeya be Chayiv? The answer is, the emes is it's a lav. Even the nikaf has a lav. The problem is the lav shein b'maisa. As soon as you have a maisa koldu, that already includes you in that lav where you can get malchus, and therefore Mesayeya in this case is enough. It says the Gemara v'mashchot pa'zakonai, turn rabbanon pa'azakonai soif zakonai ve'ezot soif zakonai sheboilo zakonai. Again, these are the 5 spots on the face that were not clear exactly where it is. Don't touch your beards, at least not with a razor. Says the Gemara, somebody who gives himself cuts or scratches himself because he's in pain over the loss of a loved one, says the Gemara, Mishnah said he gets malchus. Ton rabbanon. V'seret yochel afilu sorat al beisa shenofal. You only chayiv if you do it because you're in pain over a dead person, somebody, a relative who died. Let's say you lost a lot of money. Let's say you found out that the stocks dropped and you lost a tremendous amount of money and you scratch yourself. There's no lav on that. Why not? Because it says lameis lanefesh, only lanefesh. By the way, they used this Gemara to answer a big kasha. We learned this in Sanhedrin that Rebbe Akiva scratched himself. He's mihikal b'sorei at sheshosas damai. When Rabbi Eliezer Agadol, Rebbe Akiva's Rebbe, died, he hit himself. He was in such pain, he hit himself until he was bleeding. So they asked, what do you mean? Over here, Shteitach in the Mishnah, our Mishnah says that you're not allowed to, you're chayiv alav if a person is soyret srita alames. So they use this Gemara. It wasn't alames. Rebbe Akiva wasn't really in pain over, he wasn't doing it because Rebbe Eliezer Agadol died. He was doing it because the Torah that was lost with Rebbe Eliezer Agadol's death. So that's like Tavas Finose Bayam, that's like Beisai Shenofal. Okay, we'll stop over here because I see they're starting Ma'ariv already. Shall we continue tomorrow? Okay, Shekayach.